Alright, we are down to the 2 heels on the last loaf of bread, and I just realized the other day that my current video for making bread is really crappy, so I'm going to make another one. You start out with 350 milliliters of water, or beer if you want to make beer bread, doesn't matter, and then you put it in the microwave to bring it to 40°C or 100°F. I know those aren't the same temperatures, but they're close enough. Easy to remember. In the summertime, that's usually about 44 seconds for me with the water temperature. In the wintertime, that's usually about 77 seconds. So I'm going to stick it in for 66 right now, and we'll see how that goes. Alright, let's have a look and see. That's 66 seconds, and as expected, it did not bring it up to 100°F. It's about 93 Fahrenheit. No, well, actually, it's about 100 Fahrenheit by the looks of it. 97, 98. That's good enough. That's good enough for me. Now, that temperature is going to come down a little bit when I add my honey, but that's close enough for me at the moment. So, I have some fresh local honey here. Well, it's not fresh. I got it this year, though, from a local beekeeper. And about a tablespoon. And just dissolve that in there. And you see there I have a jar of yeast. I buy my yeast in bulk and store it in the fridge. I don't use bread machine yeast. It is actually better to store your yeast in the freezer rather than the fridge. It'll keep a little bit longer, but I don't have a freezer here in the kitchen. Our fridge is an all fridge, and the nearest freezer is in the basement, so I store that in the here in the kitchen fridge. And with the magic of time-lapse photography, the lid is now off of that jar. I have a teaspoon here. I am going to get 1 teaspoon of yeast and sprinkle it in there. And I'm just going to dissolve that. Stir it around a bit till it's dissolved. And that's about it for now. We'll set that aside, and we will get our flour ready. Alright, so I'm going to make some oat bread actually, and I don't have oat flour. I've got rolled oats, so I'm going to make some oat flour. It's really dirt simple to do. You can see I got my little mini chopper food processor over here. And I've got a scale here. You can see it's a Starfrit scale. I got it at Canadian Tire. Regular price is $30. It often goes on sale. Several times a year it goes on sale for $15. That's when I got it. Sometimes it even goes on sale for $10. If you're going to make bread, get a scale. It's the only way to make consistent bread. If you're measuring your flour by cups, then just, well, don't ask me how to make good bread if you're measuring by cups. You want to measure by grams. My recipe calls for 600 grams of flour. You can mix and match the flour any way you want, as I've pointed out in the past. I'm going to use about 125 grams of oats. And I'm going to start with about 130 grams of rolled oats. I'm going to put it in there. I'm counting the extra 5 grams to be lost as dust on the side of the thing. Yeah, I'm a little bit anally retentive sometimes. And we're just going to put that in here. Put the top on it. And we are going to buzz it into flour. There. This is, by the way, Ontario grown organic rolled oats. It comes from down in southern Ontario, I believe. I buy it from Mountain Path near Ottawa, mountainpath.com. Okay, so we're going to put our flour in here. The nice thing about this scale is that it has a tare button to zero it out, so if I put a container on there, it obviously weighs something. I can hit the zero tare button and it sets it to 0, and it has a very high tolerance. Another postal scale that I had that I gave to a friend of mine when I bought this, you could only tear if the container was a couple of 100 grams. In some containers, a plastic one like this is no issue, but if you have a heavier container it would not tear for some reason. So I am going to dump all this in there. And of course I didn't lose my 5 grams as I expected. That was a bit of an overestimate, no big deal. One thing I find when you are making oat bread is there's not a lot of gluten, or probably if I looked it up there probably wouldn't be any gluten in oats. So I use gluten flour. I can't get this from Mountain Path, so it's not organic. I've asked them about it, and they're trying to source some, but this is from the bulk barn actually. And I am going to bring that 130 grams, 128 grams, I'll bring it up to 190 grams. So that's about 61 grams, 193, 63 grams of gluten flour. And then I am going to get some of my whole wheat flour. This is also grown in Ontario. It's from Mountain Path. It's from southern Ontario. It's milled at Mountain Path just outside of Ottawa. Very good flour. I'm going to bring it up to 450 grams. So that's what, about 210 grams of whole wheat flour. 210? 200, yeah. No, 450, 260 grams, sorry. I'll do the math later. I'll bring it up to 450. Doodle-doodle-doodle-doodle-doo. 450, there's 430. And 445. I'm just being anally retentive here. There, 450 grams. The last 150 grams I will use white flour, which is also from Mountain Path. I have a bag of it back over here. It's a organic, also grown in Ontario. White flour, there's 550. And there's too much. That's 610. I take some away. And there's my 600 grams. I also want in here 1 teaspoon of salt. This is Himalayan mountain salt, made from rock salt from the Himalayas. 1 teaspoon. And our next step, I will turn this off and I'll meet you over by the bread machine.